Hey everyone. So I was trying to figure out what topic I wanted to cover today or go over today. And, I was thinking about my childhood, and one of the things that I had to experience more than others and less than some is I was in three different high schools when I was a kid. And one of those schools, the school I spent the majority of my time at, was a military academy in South Texas. And I mean, that was hell. Like I look back on that, and I learned so much. And I grew up a lot. It really gave me a foundation of discipline that has carried over 18 years later, or however long it's been. But the reason I bring that up, and the reason why I want to talk about that in today's episode, is I think that with men especially, there's no real rite of passage in this society. No one tells you, you're a man now. And especially with education being in the form it is, there's really a prolonged adolescence. When you look at some of these professions like medicine or law or going to get a PhD, you spend the first 25 years to 30 years of your life essentially just doing what you're told. You do someone else's research for them, or you shadow them, or whatever it is. And so the idea of what is it to be a man or to even be an adult in today's society is really changing with technology. And I think it's changing in a fairly unsustainable way to a large extent. But as I said, especially for men, I think there's such a difficult time right now because there is no real rite of passage. You just kind of hit 18, and then all of a sudden, with this arbitrary age, you're officially an adult. And one thing that I think every boy should have to go through, but I think just every person should have to go through at this point, at a young age, is being forced to fight a battle that you cannot win in some way. Whether it's going up against, if you play sports, going up against a team that is much bigger and stronger than you. Like you're going to lose that game. Or if you're on more of the intellectual side, enrolling in a class that you're essentially going to fail, or being in a debate type setting that you're going to fail. And the reason I bring up the military academy is I remember that I hated it down there so much. And it was boarding school. And so, we would get there in August, and we stayed in a barracks and all that style, or a dorm style barracks. And you were there all day, every day. You flew home for, Thanksgiving, and then winter break, you'd fly home, and then spring break. And that was it. The rest of the time was there, kind of depending on what company you were in. So I was in Delta Company down there, and that was just known as one of the companies that was not laid back at all. You had uniforms you slept in, you had uniform inspections every day, and you were running obstacle courses all the time. And when you weren't in classes, everything was either marching or studying or doing some sort of training. And I learned a very important lesson, though, and I learned a lot about myself when I was down there. So we would fly in. The airport was literally right across the street. And So I remember my summer would just be ruined because I would be thinking about, okay, I've got to go back to hell essentially, and but I remember making the choice to always walk in those gates, and that was a choice I made, 15, 16, whenever I was down there. And it was because I hated it so much. And they had shuttles at the airport that you could get in, and they would drive you to your barracks. But I never did that, or at least I can't think of a single time that I did it. I would fly into the airport. I would, grab my bag, and normally my bag just consisted of a bunch of philosophy books and science books. I mean, I've been a nerd my entire life. And I made the choice that I am going to walk into that campus. No one, as much as I hate being there, and as awful as I knew it was going to be, and all of the existential dread that I just had with going down there, knowing I wasn't going to see my friends again, for months, which at that age is a long time. At least I can make the choice to walk into hell under my own power. No one's going to drive me into these gates. I am going to go under my own power. And once I did that, once I accepted this kind of Sisyphean mindset, it made life a bit easier, because it was my choice then to endure. It was my choice to walk into this place that I hated, that I knew was going to push me in every kind of way, and in most ways that I didn't want to be pushed. And so that to me is something that is a lesson that's carried over. And I think more people at a young age, I certainly am not advocating for, sending people to a school like that, but I think that whenever you have to enter a fight that you know you can't win, you're left with just yourself, and realizing that I may know the outcome, but at least I'm going to choose how I enter this situation. I'm going to choose to endure, and that's an important thing, and that's something that carries on to many aspects of life. Whether it's the gym, there are plenty of days, most days, that I do not want to go to the gym, and I'm looking for any type of excuse I can. And then eventually I just tell myself, I'm like, it's time to go. And whenever I'm in the gym, I typically wear the same outfit, and I consider that like a uniform. Once I put it on, then this is what we're doing now. There's no way out of it, and the drive to the gym and all that stuff doesn't matter. And that's how it is for a lot of things. For work, I think a lot of people, they wake up, and at least for me, I'll wake up and try and, do I have an excuse? Do I feel sick? Is there a way I can get out of today? But then there's a certain point you reach, once you're in the shower, once you're fully dressed, that, all right, this is happening today. But when it comes to rites of passage, I think there's a big overlap between having to walk into a battle that you can't win, and building up the self-esteem from that, seeing who are you in those moments where you don't have any control. Are you still going to choose to endure? And that's something that I think is kind of being lost. I mean, sports in high school have that to an extent, but I would just encourage you to find something that you know you're going to lose at. Find something that you know you can't win. Whether it's something like working out, or whether it's something like, trying to learn a new skill. Those are things that they never, if you do them correctly, there's never an end goal in mind. You know that you're going to look foolish at times. You know you're going to feel weak. You know you're going to feel inferior, and you still choose to do it. That's an important aspect to life as far as I'm concerned, and something that keeps you grounded. So anyway, just my thoughts on that.